Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is urge, as in following that divine urge, listening to guidance. And I use that word because I had a really cool experience today. So, because I was feeling depleted, I made some decisions to do things differently than I was originally planning. And one of the things that I did was I decided not to get on a train and go down to family tonight, but to wait until tomorrow morning. And so from that, I then made the decision to go to the grocery store, and then I drove home. And when I got into my driveway, all of a sudden, I suddenly felt this urge to turn around and go back out to the gas station to fill my gas tank. Now, rationally, logically, I needed gas. I was down to about 1.5 gallons. So I could have continued and stayed home, but it was not a bad idea to get gas, but it wasn't necessary. But instead of deciding to just, be like, whatever, and just stay, I basically decided that I was going to turn around, I was going to go, and I was going to go to the gas station. So I went to the gas station, I filled up my tank, and as I was filling the tank, I noticed a young woman who was dressed in sort of, classic kind of holiday Thanksgiving clothes. So it was clear she was probably traveling from some place to another place for the holiday. And I just noticed her because she looked a little lost. And as I finished filling up my tank and I got into my car, I looked up and I saw her with a huge map of Maine, and she was unfolding it and trying to sort of put it on the hood of her car. And so instead of getting in my car and turning on the ignition and leaving, I decided instead to just put my stuff down, and I got out of the car and I said, do you know where you're going? Do you need some help? And so she came over, and then this other gentleman came over, and she basically explained that she was heading to this location which was way far away from where we were. And this other man and I were both talking to her about her options, and basically she had two. One was to take the back roads from where we were, and then the other one was basically to go south and then to go west, which would add about 45 minutes to her journey, because she would have ended up getting on the route she was trying to reach way further, like back on the route, like many miles ahead from where she would end up hitting it if she took the back roads. And what I realized is that I lived en route to where she was headed, and that it would be fairly easy for me to just have her follow me, and I could get her to the road she needed to get to, so that then what she could do is just follow this other road and then just take a right turn, and she'd be on the road that would eventually take her where she was going. So I just basically was like, follow me, I'll get you where you need to go. And we discussed what she was going to have to do afterwards and that she would be fine. So I drove along, and I was on the phone with a friend, and we were just talking about the world we're living in right now and how incredibly important it is to hold our center and to cultivate our compassion and to really use these opportunities where a lot of us are feeling angry and scared and hurt and despairing, that there's this opportunity to use it to really, really go deep into the healing. And also this opportunity to recognize that we have a chance to not only heal for ourselves, but to also heal on behalf of our ancestors, that we can do what's called surrogate work for those who have gone before us, that when we heal ourselves, that it reflects or ripples back to our ancestors and to the people who've been through similar things. So I was talking about that, and then eventually I got to the place where I was going to go one way and she was going to continue. So I stopped and we rolled down our window, and she thanked me, and we introduced ourselves, and then she said, what can I do? And I said, just pay it forward. And so then she shared her email address and I shared my website, and she said, oh, what do you do? And I said, I'm an energy healer. And she said, oh, do you have a faith? And I said, yeah, I'm a universalist. I believe that God has all kinds of different names and faces, and that there are many, many ways to reach God. And she said, that's kind of what I am too. And then I don't know whether exactly the order of it, quite how it came out, but basically what she said was that when she had reached the point where she realized she was lost, she had called her friend who she was going to be seeing, and the two of them decided to pray for help. And that because she knew that she needed some support and that she was going to need something. And so I told her, I said, you know, Spirit told me to go to the gas station. I was in my driveway and I turned around and I came to the gas station because I felt this urge to go to the gas station. And at that point, she and I both were like, wow. And what feels so incredibly powerful to me about this is that I was literally today the answer to somebody's prayer because I listened. And I really believe that the way that the universe works and the way that the divine works is that the divine has this sort of like divine dispatch center, and then uses those of us who are willing to be of service and willing to be instruments to do the work. And I just happen to be, it's like being like a divine Uber driver. I just happen to be in the vicinity and I'm the person who picked up the call. And I feel so blessed and so grateful that I could respond to it, that I didn't just dismiss this urge, because she was clearly, you know, lost and out of her element. And I was able to help save this woman at least 45 minutes of time, as well as to just allay her sense of disorientation and like being lost. And just that also just to know that the universe has her back. And it felt so powerful for 3 different reasons. One is that it was reminding me that there is a plan, that there is a power greater than myself that is working and is always contributing, and that I'm not in charge. I don't have to be figuring it all out, that there's something greater than me, that there's a divine order, and that when I listen, when I'm in the flow, I get to participate in this divine order. So that's the first piece of this, is just that really feeling gratefully restored for that moment of like, oh yeah, I'm part of something greater than myself. And when I surrender and I just remember that faith is more powerful than my fear, things get easier. The second part is just that willingness to listen to that divine urge and how good it feels to know that I'm plugged in and I can be of service. And that just is so rewarding and so nourishing to me. And then the third part is realizing that when we ask, our prayers can be answered. And that this woman, she asked, she prayed with an earnestness that basically had the universe just like put out the call and go, hey, who wants to go help this person? And I'm just so grateful for this. So my questions to you today are, 1, do you recognize that divine urge? And when you receive it, do you answer the call? And are you willing to answer the call? And 2, when you have need, can you ask? Are you willing to pray? Are you willing to ask for help? So right now it is the eve before Thanksgiving, and I'm getting ready to go down and be with family, and I imagine a number of you are too. And so I just really want to wish you a blessed, easy holiday, and I really invite you to just remember that connection to your higher power and just behold the mystery and watch for those divine urges that maybe take you off course, but then lead you to something that shows you why you were taken off course. So until next word of the day, I wish you peace and ease and really yummy food.